We're now on the latest explanation as to why exactly Tucker Carlson needed to be fired almost immediately on the spot by Fox News. It has to do with a text message. That's what Fox is apparently saying. A text message that was sent the day after the insurrection on January 6th. Here's what he had to say. A couple of weeks ago, I was watching video of people fighting on the street in Washington. A group of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living S out of him. It was 3 against 1 at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight. Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against that man, hoping they'd hit him harder, kill him. I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it. Then somewhere deep in my brain, an alarm went off. This isn't good for me. I'm becoming something I don't want to be. The Antifa creep is a human being. And why exactly he's a creep in this, I have no idea. He literally just saw someone being attacked, but because he thinks the person is Antifa and thinks that that's a thing, like that you get a membership card to or something, then he's automatically a creep. Much as I despise what he says and does, much as I'm sure I'd hate him personally if I knew him, I shouldn't gloat over his suffering. I should be bothered by it. I should remember that somewhere somebody probably loves this kid and would be crushed if he was killed. If I don't care about those things, if I reduce people to their politics, how am I better than he is? And this is apparently, supposedly, what got Fox so freaked out. The text alarmed the Fox board, we're told, conveniently after it happened, which saw the message a day before Fox was set to defend itself against Dominion voting systems before a jury. The board grew concerned that the message could become public at trial when Mr. Carlson was on the stand, creating a sensational and damaging moment that would raise broader questions about the company. They in fact even said they were bringing in an outside law firm to conduct an investigation into his conduct. So look, first of all, we could talk about the substance of that, the acceptance that he sort of had to kind of fight against, that someone who disagrees with him politically should be beaten to death by a mob. Thankfully, he was kind of against that in this one case. The fact that he apparently has very set standards for how white men fight and how non-white men fight. It's very different things, just naturally, not a racist though. White supremacy and white nationalism, I've been told many times on Tucker Carlson's program, don't exist. So this can't be an example of it. But also, he tried to work himself up to caring if this person is killed. But nowhere in that is there really anything condemning the Trump people for being willing to kill someone for disagreeing. He doesn't say much about that at all. It doesn't seem to represent anything to him that Trump people love to gang up and murder people with their bare hands. Anyway, we can talk about the substance. We can talk about this, that this is being rolled out as the reason he needed to be fired when, as I tweeted earlier, like if this was his monologue, I guess it would get covered on Media Matters, but I don't know otherwise that it would really stand out. Is this the most racist thing he said? I doubt it. Is it in the top 50? Sure. It's in the top 50 most racist things that Tucker Carlson has said. It's not even the most advocating of violence. He routinely advocates for violence without this sort of mental hand wringing over it. So JR, I'm not really buying this as the explanation, even though it is obviously objectively damning for him.
This explanation, they've tried to explain things way before. So again, these things have popped up. People are, jaws are dropping and or hands are on our face. Oh my God, can you believe Tucker said something that's totally racist? Hey, Tucker said racist things quite regularly on his show. Everyone talked about how he said things quite regularly racist on his show, but it was just written off as, we had those other cases. It's an entertainment show. Everything you may take him to say is just a joke, or even you can't take as a serious, real commentary. But still, it's hateful stuff. He had a producer who had to resign in 2020 over hateful things he was secretly saying on chat sites. Here's one of those things. Yeah. The subject line of this one thing his producer says, would you let a jet black Congo N-word do LASIK eye surgery on you for 50% off? Or I wouldn't get LASIK from an Asian for free, so no. Things like that he used to say. And the superiority of white folks and how they're being replaced. And then look at this, we have to push for against those other scary minorities because they're coming to take your place and have more babies than you. These are all very basic, hateful, neo-Nazi style thought processes. So when he says that white men don't fight like this, and then suddenly he finds himself appealed, that these types of fighting does actually appeal to him, maybe you're not a very good white man, since white men are so perfectly clean and with their fighting tactics, which I don't know how many fights this guy's actually seen, but we know what he's actually going towards is who actually fights that way. So do you find yourself one of these N-words that fights this way? Because it appeals to you, Tucker. Still, man, this is nothing new. We know how this guy operates.
Yeah, I find it inconceivable that he's ever been in a fight. I mean, maybe he's joined a group of people attacking a single individual and kicked them a few times or something. I can see that. He could be a minion for a bully. I do believe that's a possibility. Yeah, look, we do this sort of story, and I guess the takeaway is, oh my God, he is racist. He holds bigoted, prejudiced beliefs. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess we've demonstrated that hundreds of times. It's good to get a reminder though. And it provides us with the opportunity to remind people that, like, claims of racism, I think, are made for a lot of different reasons. And the reason that you would want, if you believe that someone is a racist, to point it out, I think there are multiple different reasons that you can have, maybe combining them as to why you think it is important for someone to see that. But for me, one of the big parts has always been, like, Tucker Carlson is considered to be a very intelligent man in comparison to some people on the right. He obviously is. But intelligence is made up of multiple different components, and bigotry is not often pointed out enough to represent an inability for your brain to function properly. If you are a racist, if you are a misogynist, if you are a homophobe, that's not just bad and offensive and dangerous and threatening and all that. It also represents that your brain doesn't effing work. You cannot think logically about the world. You see a person and you cannot actually reasonably assess who they are, what they're doing, what they represent, because you're running all of these BS broken processes in your head. Instead of thinking like a logical, rational person, you're playing this racist tape in your head and making decisions based off of that. So don't tell me that Tucker Carlson is intelligent. Don't tell me that Ben Shapiro is an intellectual gladiator. They might have a pretty good vocabulary or whatever, but their brains are fundamentally broken, and they don't even have the base level of intelligence to recognize that fact and work to correct the damage over time. They just accept, I'm broken, I never need to get better. I'm just gonna go through my life being unable to actually interface in a logical way with the reality that's presented to me.
And the only way they're able to do that is because people allow them to, because we accept that privilege for those certain folks.
Yeah, other people with similar non-functioning brains who want to believe that there's nothing wrong, that they don't have to change. So you get someone in a suit and a tie to say the same bigoted things that you're thinking that makes you feel more comfortable. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.